Hey, it's Kley. Welcome to another video. This is going to be a pedalboard test. My current live pedalboard, the power supply situation is a mess. I have a power strip. From the power strip, I'm running into it's a Mosky power supply, which is like a cheap Chinese one where they say it's isolated, but you never really know. And then I also am running a wall wart, which is powering my Line 6 HX Stomp. And that combination has just proven to be kind of annoying. It works okay, but just the practicality of it is really obnoxious, having to manage all those cords and plug all those things in. So I picked up a OneSpot. This is the OneSpot, Truetone OneSpot CS7 power supply, and I got this one secondhand. What was really exciting about this one is it has two 500 milliamp current outputs, and actually I could current double those because I've got the cord. So I could actually power something up to one whole amp of current. So like my HX Stomp, it says it needs 3 amps, but I think it's more like around 1 amp. So I'm going to try this. I might even try to see if one of these 500 milliamp plugs can power this thing, because I really love having my HX Stomp on the board, but finding a power supply solution for it is annoying. So that's what we're going to test. First up, I want to see about noise. So I'm going to run my board into an amp and turn all the pedals off, and we're just going to hear how much static noise there is. Then I'm going to swap out to the Truetone, and we'll see if there's any depreciation in noise at all. And ultimately, too, we'll report back on how well this powers everything and whether or not I need to double things up or not. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that quick little comparison. For context, when I was plugging in the rig, I didn't notice any real differences in sound noise levels. I had to turn the gain up on the recording 30 decibels, which is an extremely high amount, just to hear some of that baseline noise. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that is actually coming from the amp. Now, in the second clip, the one with the new power supply, I did hear a little bit of crackling or ghosting. Could be from the power supply. I also wonder if it's because when I actually plugged it in, I actually used a single 500 milliamp output to power my Line 6 HX Stomp. So I'm going to experiment as well with powering it with the current doubler to see if maybe it's at just the single 500 milliamps. Maybe that's a little bit too low of juice and it was causing a little bit of irregularities. It's also very possible that that was just kind of some weird fluctuation going on in my amp. Maybe one of my tubes was just deciding to act up for that clip, but not the previous one. But those two clips were pretty much done back to back within the scope of about 10 or 15 minutes of one another. One other thing to note with the HX Stomp is it does seem to require a little bit of a different sized, the diameter of the DC jack is a little bit different. I believe a standard jack plug is 2.5 millimeters, and it looks like this one requires a 2.1 millimeter plug. So I did have to go through my bucket of wonderful goodies and find just the right sized power adapter for that, which is a little bit annoying. Line 6, why you got to do that to us? But just if you guys are wanting to run it, like I said, I used a single 500 milliamp plug, and I did have to get this special cord with the right size plug, but it actually worked really well, and I was really, really happy with that. So to be honest with you guys, I'm thrilled with the OneSpot Pro series power supplies. Having that high amperage output on those two is really, really useful. Two 500 milliamps, that's maybe even pushing more like a full amp of current, is amazing and very, very welcome with all these high current demanding pedals these days. It's nice to have something brought into the forefront. Don't sleep on the Mosky though. That thing did really well, and it's nice and quiet now. Like, it doesn't power any of the higher current pedals. Seems to kind of crap out at about 200 milliamps or so. But for everything else, it actually seems to do just fine. It was nice and quiet. I didn't notice any problems as far as comparing it with AB with what I was using. But being able to scale it down from using the power strip is just a huge usability bonus in my book. I'm also going to take a step and bring into the equation the Voodoo Labs Pedal Power Plus 2, which I've had for probably 10 years. And that one is really nice, but it doesn't have the same high current as the OneSpot. I've had some struggles with getting some of my higher current pedals to work. When I do even the current doubler on the two higher outputs, it really maybe only gets to about 500 milliamps or so. And just the stock, I think, 100 milliamp outputs, they tend to struggle a little bit with certain pedals. Like, for example, my DoD Rubberneck really kind of struggles with just one of those outputs. So overall, I'm quite thrilled with the OneSpot, and I think for the money, it's pretty hard to beat in the marketplace today. The other thing to keep in mind is one thing I'll be experimenting with is if I get to the point where I have more pedals than I have power outputs, I will be looking to daisy chain like kind pedals off of one output. So for example, if I have an output on the OneSpot that is like the 200 milliamp 9-volt out, well, there's really no reason why you can't daisy chain off of that, like all of your overdrive and distortion effects. Those pedals typically have very low current draw, and in my experience, there's really no issue with daisy chaining those guys off of one isolated output. So then I can have my P&P fuzz face is going to be off a dedicated output. Then I can have all my digital pedals, like maybe a looper or a delay or a reverb. All those can be off of their own outputs. But then I can also use the higher current outputs to power my multi-effects. So really excited about this. It will scale up beyond 7 pedals, which is really nice, and it seems to be well made and has really high current. So pretty thrilled with this experiment, and we'll be excited for using that in the future. So if you guys are looking for a power supply to power higher current pedals like the Line 6 HX Stomp, I would give a high recommendation to the OneSpot. If you're looking for something really cheap to just power a bunch of more basic level pedals that don't have such high current draw, the cheap Most guy from China actually performed really well in that test as well. And you know what, I also got to say for my Voodoo Labs, while it's feeling a little bit dated right now and isn't scaling so well for the higher current pedals, that thing has been a rock solid for me performer for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, and really thrilled with that kind of longevity. So leave your comment down below. Hope this is helpful for you guys looking to power your pedal boards, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.